Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Made Simple with Character Designs. Thanks to everyone who subscribed yesterday, and a big thank you to Anna from Amy Rose. Her crochet shop is in Saggart and she shared it on Facebook for me, and hello to all the new followers I have, and thank you for all the nice comments. Yesterday was just an introduction video of some of the things. If you haven't seen it, it's on my YouTube channel, so it just shows, basically, I don't want to have to show again, it's some of the stuff that I'm hoping to do for patrons and that are all free that you can hopefully follow along with. Today, as I discussed yesterday, we're going to do a simple, it's a 3-stitch lace pattern stitch. It's very nice, it's so easy, and it's a lace effect. Basically all we're going to do is we're going to do multiples of 3, and we're only going to do a rectangle, and from a rectangle, no increases, no decreases, nothing fancy, we're going to be able to make a headband. I'll just a scarf if you continue on, and then a mitten, which again you don't even need to leave a thumb, it's all about where you sew. My style is going to be to talk you through the whole tutorial, and I know the sun is shining here on and off, but don't worry if you can't see up close, wait till the end of the video. There's going to be a close, me talking through the whole thing, just a close-up of every stitch that you can see the whole thing of, and it's going to be from start to finish to show you exactly what to do. So as I say, don't worry if you can't see a close-up while I'm speaking. I'm going to talk you through it. You should hopefully be able to follow it by what I'm saying. If not, at the end of the video there's a close-up and you should be able to follow it then. I like to use fancy yarn. I like that each glove is different, has 2 different sides, but ideally if you're not into that you can use any plain yarn, and that way it's matching, and then you can just put a flower, multicolored flower in the center. I'm using the James C. Brett. It's a marble yarn I got in Amy Rose. You can buy it there, and I'm sure you can get it in America, all UK, worldwide. So we're going to start. I have one half done. To get us started for everything, including the scarf, mitten, that I'm actually going to show you all in the one video, and the headband, we're just simply, it's multiples of 3, as you can see here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which means multiple of 3 is 21 stitches. We're doing a DC stitch, a double crochet. I'm not sure whether you're familiar with the UK or the US term, but it's going to be where you put a chain 2 at the start of every row. So whatever way you do it, wherever you are, it'll be the chain 2. So we're going to chain 23 stitches, because we're doing the multiple of 3, which is 7 of the 3, so it's 21, and then the 2 extra stitches for the chain 2. So we're putting up 23 stitches. So we've 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I should have said you can use any yarn you'd like with any hook. I use Hooky. That's my favourite yarn, and number 5. I use it for everything regardless of what the patrons say, and so it doesn't matter if you're using a bulky yarn, just check the label on the back. It will say what kind of a yarn hook you will need, and then we're ready to go. The first line is the most trickiest. Once you get the first line, you're away. It's absolutely grand. You can do it. It's simple as, and it's just a repeat pattern, and then once it's not going in and out, you have it done perfect. So if you want to just come a bit closer. So the main stitch we're doing is, it's a 3-stitch, it's a lace effect pattern, and you skip the first one and go into DC into the second one. So this is the chain 2, so we've 1, 2, and we're skipping the first one. So we're going into the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, the 4th chain from the hook for the first row, just for the first row, the 4th chain. So we're going yarn around, 1, 2, 3, 4th chain, into the stitch, around, yarn around, out through the stitch, yarn around, out through the stitch. That's your DC done. That's the first of the 3. We're going into the second one now. Same stitch, yarn it around, in, out, yarn around, out through 2, yarn around, out through 2. So we have the first 2 parts of the triple stitch done. Now the hardest part to remember is you go back into the first one you missed. This is your chain 2. That's what you need. This stitch here, right there, right beside the one you've used, is what you have missed. That's what's going to make the twist. Don't get worried It's simple, you'll get it after a few goes. So we're basically going to go the exact same. We're going to go into the stitch, straight through. Don't mind this bulky part, that's no problem at all. Yarn around, pull it out as normal, give it a bit of a pull to get it out of your way. Continue with the DC, yarn around, out through 2, out through 2. And there you have your chain 2 and your first twisted stitch. This is always the hardest row to get because it is the starting row with the chains. Once you have your stitches actually formed, each row is easier. So now what we're going to do is yarn around. The main mistake people make with this stitch is they use the stitch that's already been used. So if you can see here, this stitch has already been used, the chain. So it's the next one here we're going to skip. It's skip and then 1 DC in there, 1 DC in there. So skip the next one. We're going to do a double crochet, the same again. Next stitch, double crochet, and to form the three stitch pattern, we go back into the one we missed. We haven't used that one. We've used that one. If you give it a bit of a pull, we've used that one. So this one here, right in the middle, we haven't used. So we're going to go yarn around, in there, yarn around, pull straight up as if you're doing a normal DC. Forget that that's behind it. Do the same technique. Yarn round, yarn round. And there you have your second. It has a lovely little hole there, and that's what gives the lace effect, and that's the twisted stitch. So we've used here, so we're skipping that and we're going into the next one. So it's multiples of 3, DC into the second one, DC into the third one, and then of course for your twist we've used that one, we've used that one, we're going back in, and then we continue this all the way around until we come to the end of it. And by the end of it, for the 21 stitches that we had, apart from the multiple of 2 for the chain, you should have 7 twists. We've used that, we've used that. So this one here, right in the center, the chain we haven't used, go back in there, don't twist, you hold the yarn around and just pull up. And then when you come, I have another one here that I've started towards the end of the row. You chain 2 at the end of every row. So I'll just finish off here. This one takes a bit of practice and a bit of time to get used to it. The main mistake, as I said, people make is that they don't know which one they've skipped. They go back into the one that they've used, so you have to just give it a bit of a pull. But as you can see here, it's so easy to see the stitches once you're over the first row. So you can see there, you skip that one and you go into the last 2. So we're on the edge of the row now, so we could make sure you go through the 2 top parts of each stitch. In we go, and that's the end. So we turn the work and then we're going to chain 2, and it's the exact same. You can see the patterns forming. So if you start having a 1 here and a 3 here, you'd know it's gone off course. It should be straight down, like a cable almost in knitting. Straight down. So if you actually turn it that way, you can see the stitches. That's the chain 2, and you can see, I do call them lips. It's almost like small lips on top of the stitches. So there's the first one. That's the 3 pattern, which is 1, 2, 3. We're starting here, so 1, 2, 3. We're skipping the first one. We're going into the second. Oh, fix that one. Into that one. So we have our 1, 2 done, or 2, 3 I should say, and we've skipped the first one. So you just yarn round, go in through the stitch, and make sure with this, when you're coming to the normal rounds after the first round, it's the lips of this top of the stitch you go through, not just the chain of the stitch like we did. That was just because it was the beginning row, the foundation row. We're going through the 2, yarn around, pull it out, yarn around, out through 2, yarn around, out through 2. Same again. Next one, skipping the first one, going into the second and the third. Second, third, skipped 1, don't get confused, pull it. You can see you've already used that, so you don't want to go back in there, because then you're going to have 2 stitches going in there. That one's been used, so you have this one here, that's the spare one. Yarn around, out through 2, out through 2. And then basically what you do is, we're going to continue on for the headband. You just continue crocheting up until you reach the head size. You can get here head circumferences online for children's sizes, smaller baby sizes, adult head sizes. Usually an adult woman size is around a 22 inch. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 rows. So I have 23 rows on this one. If you want to make it thicker, that you want it that size for a scarf, rather than having it small, it's multiples of 3. So if you want it that you have 10, we have here 6 going across. If you want a multiple of 10, it's 10 by 3 is 30. You put up 30 stitches plus 2, which is 32 because of the chain 2. Always put it up, and you, no matter how you start, it's multiple of 3 plus 2, and you go into the 4th chain from the start, from the hook, sorry, at the start, and that's just for the first row. After that, you'll chain 2, and then you skip the first DC and go into the 2nd, 3rd, and then go back. If you need to pause, go back to the start. If you need to pause the video, take it slow, but you will get used to it very, very quick. And what way I done the mitten, I'll just whip this back. I put up, this was the multiples of 7, the same as what we have there. And basically for sewing, that's a larger version of that. You just make, I done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rows. That's how quick you'll get it done. If you master this stitch, you'll probably get a mitten done, one mitten done in about, I'd say, under an hour. I have 11 rows of that, and all you do, it's where you sew. You don't need, you can, if you need to for a child, fit your thumb out. Depends how comfortable you want to be. I personally don't use it because it changes the shape of the pattern. So all we do is put it where you want your seam. The seam goes at the side for your thumb, and when you sew, you just leave a gap for your thumb. So you start on one edge. We start here where we finished off. This is just an end of the rectangle. You're going to right side facing. You're going to fold it in half, and you're going to just chain 1 at the end. Don't cast off when you're there. You chain 1. You go into the top of the first stitch, and you just match up with the top of the chains. You won't have it an easy stitch to a stitch. It will be a stitch to a chain when you're sewing. I'll just turn this way, so it's into the chain 1 when you finish, into the first stitch and into the first chain, and you just slip stitch, which is yarn around, out, and then straight through the bottom stitch. So you knock it off, you're not doing a stitch, you're just doing a slip stitch. The next one, straight into the stitch, into the middle of this chain, and then you knock it off all the way. So you continue down until the part you want to do. If you want a longer mitten, that would be up to there. You can have it longer. You'd probably, that's 7 rows, so that's 21. Again, you could do 10, you could do 30 if you wanted, and that way it would be longer if you wanted. They're perfect for gifts for Christmas, gifts for kids with the texting. They can still use them while using their phones, and then for if they're cold, even gaming, if you have them, whatever them little machines are that they bring out and all of that outdoors. So you continue. I would usually put my hole for the mitten on the 3rd one. I like it kind of low, so it'll be the 3rd one there. So I've just tied off the edge there. You can try them on inside out just to make sure. If it's a bit tight, you just undo it, the string, pull it back, and maybe leave a gap of 4 or 5. It doesn't have to be multiples of 3. That's the stitch, so I just do it to multiples of 3, and then you turn it. You can tie off your ends, sew off your ends. And the good thing, the reason I like to use fancy yarn and marvel is because it even though they don't match, if you were to do 2, it's like having 2 different yarn, because you can vice versa, reversible, you can whichever hand you want. That's it there. If you want it done tighter, don't put on as many rows. If you want it done bigger, add an extra row. But the good thing about it is, if it finds that it's a bit loose, you just rip back one line and then it's done. So that's basically the stitch. If you want to start it, have a look, pause it video if you need any. If you need any help, comment below. You can find me anyway on www.carrickdesigns.com, Carrick the Irish for rock. So what we've done to start with is it's multiples of 3, so put up as many trees as you want and then put the chain 2, so you add an extra 2. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, so we have 23 stitches altogether. The 7 tree pattern plus the 2 stitches, and you're always going in, no matter how many you put up, we're always going into the 4th chain from the hook. You're going to, that's because you've the chain 2 and you've skipped the 1st chain that we're going to go back into. You're going to do 1 DC in the next stitch, another DC in the next stitch, and then you're going back into the 1st. The 1st row is the hardest. Once you get going, then every row it's just chain 2, skipping the 1st stitch, and then 1, 2. Skip the stitch, 1, 2, and that's the pattern. That's the basic one. If you get to learn that off by heart, you can continue on. And then what I have in mind is that's exactly the same headband as this one here. It's just done in a chunkier yarn, and I have added a rose and a leaf that I'm going to do a video for. I love this, absolutely one of my favourites. I also have it in black. Goes with everything. You can do different colour roses. I love it. That's the rose. You can get that pattern online, simple crochet pattern. I can talk you through it in one of the next videos. And a couple of leaves and that. And we also have the same here, headband, and there's small roses. This is a bit mad now. I went a bit mad with this one. They were a bit sticky out, but again, I like a bit of madness, so I'm happy with that style. So you can put buttons, anything along the lines down as well. One of the next videos, this is one, the same again. I knit sideways all the way up, and I'll show you how to do. It's just a decrease stitch and you get that lovely little flower, and then that's just a single crochet row for the slouchy hats. And again, there's no increases, no decreases. All it is a small decrease at the end after, so you're basically just making a big rectangle. And this is a men's version, which is done the exact same way, and quite a few men have actually bought them from my own website, so they seem popular. I wasn't sure, of a bit lacy, was a bit girly, but it seems to prove quite popular with the men and the teenagers as well. So I'm going to work on that. This, let's just show, is my, it's not a real baby, don't worry, she's not sitting in a box. It's a reborn baby for my shop, and this little hat here is one of the ones I'm going to do. Again, the same pattern I showed in my first video, if you want to have a look back at the first video. And this little sweater, I done a couple. Now this is more of a kind of a 3 to 6 months, but it's a bit big on her. I just done the granny squares, 2 at the back, and again this lace stitch I just picked up, and I didn't even bother, it's that fancy, I didn't even bother with an edge. So hopefully you get on well. Have a go at the pattern, continue on whether you want for a scarf, anything. If you have any problems at all, please contact me. You can comment below, and I look forward to seeing some of your pictures if you want to put them. I will be setting up Crochet Made Simple by with Carrick Designs on Facebook at some point once I get the time. So thank you very much for joining me for my first tutorial, and I hope it goes really, really well for you. So we've chained 23, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th chain, yarn around, and we're going to do a DC into the 4th chain, in, around, out, yarn around, out through 2, out through 2. We're going to go to the one beside it, same again, DC into that, and then we have our chain 2 at the start, and we have the one right beside the one we've used there and the chain 2, this gap here, right here, that chain. We're going to go yarn around, straight in, do a normal DC, forget about the bulk, yarn around, pull up, yarn around, out through 2, yarn around, out through 2. We have the first twist done. We've used that one, so we're multiples of 3, skipping the first one, and then 2, 3, skipping, going into this one, yarn around, do your normal DC, the one beside it, into the chain, yarn around, and then we've used that one and that one for the first one. The first one has been used, so this one right here, see the gap, the chain that hasn't been used is the one, so you're going to go in like you would normally, straight through, yarn around, pull it out. Don't be afraid to give it a bit of a pull, and there you have your second one. Skipping this one into this one. One, two, and then you can see clearly, use that one, we've used that one, and it's this one right in the center. Straight in, yarn around, and then just pull up, and you continue on until the end. And then when you come to the end of the row, we're turning. You can see the lace stitch pattern there, and we're going to every row at the start chain 2. We have 1, 2, 3. That's the first pattern. So we're skipping this one. So we yarn around, skipping this one, and going into the middle stitch. Middle stitch 1, 2, 3 into the middle. Normal DC. That's 1 into the third one. 2. And then you can see here, this is the one. You can see the stitch here, that's the chain. The stitch right here is the one that hasn't been used. Yarn around, straight in, yarn around. There you go. And this round from now on is a lot simpler because you can see the stitches 1, 2, 3. So we're clearly skipping that one. We've used that one, skipping there into the second, into the third. We've used that stitch, we've used that stitch, so you can see the gap here. And remember, don't go into the gap, you're going into the actual stitch, straight into the stitch around, and continue like that all the way until you're done. Then you turn, chain 2 and continue on.